my nice jacket.
So lovely of Nick Holt to pick us up from the airport. Only problem is, who decided to get a mini moke in the freaking wet season?
Welcome to Barbados.
Woo!
I feel like Rishi Sunak that day in Downing Street.
Oh my god. Oh.
The rainy season hasn't been massively commented on.
Oh no, look at him.
Go on, get closer.
Oh Jesus. Holy crap! Yeah, I was planning on spending some time in the water. This wasn't what I had in mind. Hello everyone and welcome to the very first episode of Running Between the Wickets. A lot of you have expressed interest in what it's like to travel around the world covering cricket. And so while there are a lot of amazing podcasts out there that discuss issues of the week and matches of the week or the day or whatever it is, I thought it might be interesting to give you a peep at what life is like for those of us on the cricket travelling circus, not just from a journalist perspective, but from a player's perspective, from the people I meet around the traps as I travel around. There's so many different aspects to it, and that's the sort of stuff that I want to give you a bit of an insight into. This whole project will develop as it goes along. I just wanted to get it started because I'm here in Barbados and it's the first week of a T20 World Cup, and I'll be going to a few different places around the next couple of weeks. And then beyond that, I'm also visiting a couple of other interesting places that I won't reveal yet, but hopefully it gives you an insight into cricket in various places around the world. If I think about the last sort of year, I've been to South Africa a couple of times. I've been to India, of course, Nepal. Where have I been? South Africa again. Oh, New York, the US. And of course, England and Australia, which are the two countries that I base myself in. So it gives me an unusual insight into the differences around the world, the different cultures, where cricket is and where it's going in those countries as well. So that's the sort of stuff I'd like to share with you, and that's the reason that I thought it might be a good thing to start this kind of project. Of course, I'm pretty open about where it goes, where it leads, who I speak to, the sort of perspectives I get, and I'm very much interested in what piques your interest. So please do feel free to let me know either on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm also going to take some questions from you in the last segment of each of these podcasts, whether it be about where I am or the people that I meet, or about what the life of a freelancer is like, because actually a lot of you seem to be quite interested in that as well. So please do let me know, because I'm kind of guided by what you're all interested in. Hopefully that you're interested at all. And I'll try to be quite honest as well, because while it might seem like a glamorous way to spend your working life, it mostly isn't. So maybe I might bust a few myths about that along the way as well. This is a great example, this trip. So I'm here in Barbados, in a lovely part of the world, of course. My first time in Barbados. I've been to the Caribbean before, but not to this beautiful island. And I'm here as a freelancer. So what does that mean? It means that I'm working for 4 different organizations on this tour. At the moment in Barbados, it's primarily for ESPN Cricinfo. So yay, back in the Cricinfo fold after quite a while. So that's really exciting for me, because I loved my time there, and it's just great to be working with those guys again. I'm also doing some stuff for talkSPORT, so watch out for some videos there where we'll be looking back at the games, looking at what's happening in the T20 men's T20 World Cup. So that's another client. I'm also going to be doing some writing for Al Jazeera Sports. I've a couple of pieces that you might have seen already. One on John Boy, who's commentating. Very, very exciting. I worked for John Boy a couple of months ago on the Ball in Play tournament, which is a hybrid of cricket and baseball. That was in New York. So, and also I might add, featured Aaron Jones, who had such an amazing match first up against Canada, playing for the USA in the opening match of this World Cup. So that was one of the pieces that was there. I've also done a bit of a look at USA cricket and the governance issues that have plagued it and have had such an effect on the way that cricket has developed in the US. So there's a couple of pieces there. Lots of pieces coming on Cricinfo, and of course a couple that are already up there. So those things are there, plus talkSPORT. I'm also working for International Cricket Tours, or ICT, gathering content for them. I'll be hosting an event. I'll be doing a bit of writing as well. So that's another part of my range of work here that is going to keep me very busy. So when you're working for that many people on a tour, it often goes not wrong. Well, yes, wrong. I'll be honest. It's really hard to manage the expectations of different clients. Everyone wants to do something often at the same time. It means you have deadlines that clash. It means you might arrange to do an interview for someone, and then something else comes up for someone else. So that's one of the real challenges that I face on this tour, and one of the reasons why my days so far have been very long, very hectic, and quite stressful, if I'm frank. I arrived here in Barbados and was met by a massive, massive thunderstorm. So I was really relieved to see a wonderful colleague, Nick Holt from the Telegraph in the UK, meet myself. He was there actually to meet Lawrence Booth from Wisden and the Daily Mail, and he was giving him a lift. So he was happy to give me a lift as well. Unfortunately, the hire car that Nick had happened to be a mini moke, which doesn't have any sides. That's not the best thing ever when you are in a thunderstorm, as I discovered. So I arrived at the hotel soaking wet, with my luggage soaking wet because it was on the back seat with me, driving through puddles in the absolutely pelting rain. So, good start, but hey, I got a lift. I didn't have to pay for a taxi. That's one of the things that I underestimated when I did my budget for this entire tour, because I have to work out a budget, and then I have to seek out clients and work out if I'm going to earn enough to actually make a tour viable, covering expenses first, let alone actually making a profit. So taxis in Barbados, Barbados is really, really expensive. That is the first thing to understand about things here. And I knew it was going to be expensive, but not as expensive as it's turned out to be. To get one interview, it cost me 200 Barbados dollars as a round trip in taxis to get to and from. That's about 100 US dollars if you can convert that to whatever currency you might have in wherever you are. But those things have kind of stung a bit, and I think I've already blown my daily budget every day that I've been here, probably just in taxis. As a result of that, I've had to find other ways to save money. Food, that's one way. I'm yet to actually have a meal out. I've had meals at the ground, and the great thing is when there's leftover fruit cups of fruit salad, they are happy for me to take a leftover cup of fruit salad. And so that's been my breakfast on the mornings after matches. So that's a bonus. There's a mini mart across the road from where I'm staying. And I went over there. They actually don't have very much there. So I have a jar of peanut butter. I have some Soda Bix multi-grain crackers. And I have a block of cheese that I've sort of been getting through. So I mix things up a little bit for meals. Sometimes I have a cracker with peanut butter. Sometimes I have a cracker with cheese. So, variety. But the great thing is I get to have it with the view of the ocean behind me. So, 5-star view, simple food, probably not the healthiest, but I just can't afford to be going out and eating at restaurants, to be honest, especially when anything you do costs far more than I had anticipated. But I will get there. Lots of things have gone wrong. I've had mics that haven't worked. I have not been able to get my eSIM to work until after 3 days of trying to hop from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi. And traffic is a consideration that I hadn't really thought about because it takes a lot longer to get anywhere here in Barbados than I could possibly have imagined. So leaving for the ground, I'm generally leaving 2 hours before a match at a bare minimum. That can be the same thing for going to a press conference. That's kind of difficult, especially when I know I'm going to be in a Wi-Fi blackout for those periods. So I'll be honest, the first few days I kind of got a bit miserable on this trip. It was so stressful that I was starting to do stupid things, make stupid mistakes. I thought I'd lost my handbag with my wallet in it, which actually was the final straw after all the logistical difficulties that I'd had. And I ended up in tears at the back of the press conference, hugely embarrassed and leaving the press box because I didn't really want to see any of my colleagues to see me in tears. So, because I'm not a crier, I'm not, and I didn't want anyone to think I was just being a big baby. But it has been unbelievably stressful. And that is probably not something that people see from Instagram or Twitter or anything else, is those moments on tour when everything just gets on top of you and you can't see your way off the hamster wheel for a second. So things have calmed down a bit. One of the reasons things have calmed down is because the people on this island are fantastic. I've got lots of therapists. Every taxi driver has been fantastic. They've helped me to calm down. One of them prayed over me for 15 minutes and promised me after that everything was going to be okay. Fantastic. The mini mart across the road, there's a little bar next to it, and I've already made friends with Tina. She's my other therapist. When I walked in the other night with my laptop to write and watch the game on TV, she took one look at me and said, "Beer first, rum second." I don't know why everyone thinks that that's a cure for everything, but it's something that's been said to me more than once. But that was the first time I had a beer and I had a rum while I worked. And then, that was part of the healing process. Coming out and seeing the waves and just the beauty of the palm trees and the smiles of everyone you meet, that's starting to have an effect on calming down as well. And I'm starting to find my feet and get the rhythm of a tour. It's hopefully going to be much easier now, and I might even be able to get a chance to actually walk on sand. The beach is just there. I haven't had time to actually go down and walk on it, let alone go for a swim or anything like that. So there might be a chance. Maybe when I'm back here for the final week, I'll get the opportunities to do that. Anyway, first up, my first guest on Running Between the Wickets is someone that, we haven't got to see on the field yet at this point because he plays for Scotland, and he didn't bat in the first match against England. Brad Currie is the man, and we had a little chat ahead of that first game, just about life on the road for him and a bit about his story as well. Look, I'll make sure that the pretty light, especially on you, and I'm going to get you to come a little bit closer as well, please, all right?
Okay, that's better.
I've got no chance. My hair in this country is just ridiculous. So, there's Richie Barrington.
Tops that? I haven't got a top like that. Captain's privilege.
Oh.
I've got a big sponsor on it. Anyways.
Does that happen? Does he throw his weight around?
No, I just get given kit last. I've still been texting Kenny saying can I have some more shorts. I've got one set of shorts and they shrunk them in the wash. So. I'm going to ask you about that actually. See if you can just come a little bit closer. Sorry, it's just because it's only a small camera. So yeah, nice and there we go. There we go. We're looking there.
A bit of both.
Yeah, fine.
So it's this is very casual.
Yeah, fine.
You can say anything you like.
Yeah.
Well, it's not long now until Scotland play their first match of the Men's T20 World Cup, and I'm incredibly excited to have Brad Currie with you. Hey, do you know what? You are the first guest on this podcast. You are going down in history as the first guest on Running Between the Wickets. How does that make you feel?
That's an honour, isn't it? But you were bigging me up earlier saying this was an easy decision, so, but no, it's nice. So thank you for having me.
That's okay. It's like, look, give us an idea of what it's like early up coming into a tournament like this. Does it feel any different to other tours or tournaments?
It's got a weird feel because there's about 5 teams in the hotel. So we're sort of walking down to the pool or the bar and there's Cummins or Johnny Bannister and I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen you on TV playing, so it's pretty surreal. It's been pretty crazy, like we're on the same flights as them and it kind of feels like I've won an event, like a package or like a raffle or something to be here, but no, it is pretty cool.
Does that, because people probably don't think that because even though Scotland have been in previous T20 World Cups, even for, your teammates who have been around for a long time, they've had that first round in the past.
Yeah.
What they decided to stop calling a qualifying round, but it essentially was, let's face it, a qualifying round. Has that made, I guess, everybody on the team feel like they're really at a World Cup?
Yeah, I guess, obviously a fair few of the boys have done multiple trips and sort of try to probe some questions towards them and sort of see, what it's like and how this compares. And I think that they sort of will take it in their stride. They're pretty chilled. I think there's got to be some part inside you're like, oh my God, look who it is and stuff. But maybe for me being my first one, but I think the boys are doing pretty well, just sort of going about their business really.
And how does that affect you, do you think, before you go out to play? Because you are going to be playing these teams. Is that something you've thought about in advance about how you don't get overwhelmed?
Yeah, I think obviously, there's the 2 big ones in the group stage that everyone's looking forward to. I was saying to Matt just downstairs earlier that I think that kind of like the way I'm treating them like free hit games kind of thing, that we've got nothing to lose really. There's very little expectations on us, and actually it's a good opportunity for someone to stick their hand up and go, I'm going to cause a real upset here. And with T20s the way that they are, you can sort of do that not on your own. You need obviously a team performance on the whole, but someone can really try and tilt the game in Scotland's favour on their own. So I think I'm just looking forward to hopefully trying to be that guy, and that's sort of the rock and roll status of T20 cricket, that someone goes and takes 3 wickets early in the power play, you do tilt the game in Scotland's favour, hopefully.
You do seem like a rock and roll kind of guy.
I don't know about that, I'm pretty down, straight and narrow, but I just can't lie, I do enjoy the rock and roll of T20, the crowds, the entertainment, just trying to put a show on really. You sort of lose the fact of trying to be a cricketer, and I feel at times we're like an entertainer, and I think actually narrows down your role and just go out and enjoy, and as long as you're enjoying it, the crowd's probably enjoying it, and I think you can't go much wrong from there.
I mean, you probably had one of the biggest crowd reactions in England last year when you took that catch for Sussex against Hampshire, flying Superman, arms outstretched right on the boundary road. Does everybody still talk about that?
Yeah, well, you brought it up in about 4 minutes of this interview, so it didn't take you long to bring that one up. No, it's sort of my moment really, and I guess I'm hoping it's not going to be. I don't know. I hope it can create some more moments like that out here. I'm not going to try and live off that for a while, but it was pretty special. I just wish I celebrated a bit better and knew what I was doing in the moment, but sort of got up in so much pain, didn't realise actually what had happened, and did the sort of post-match interviews, come upstairs, and they're like, "You're trending on Twitter." I was like, "No way, it was just a catch, like, it wasn't that good," but yeah, no, it was a pretty ridiculous night, and one that hopefully will stick in the memory a long time.
So tell us about where you grew up, because it was quite a long way from Scotland in terms of where England is.
Yeah, the accent doesn't really do me any favours. I can't really force a northern accent, or at least a Scottish one. But yeah, no. So grew up in Bournemouth, in Dorset, so very very southern England. So yeah, like I said, the accent doesn't help. But grew up there, playing for Dorset throughout the age groups. Moved to school for sixth form, went to Millfield for 2 years, which was, well, I stand by, it's still one of the best things I've done in my life. Certainly enjoyed it the most. Got me out, they gave me the opportunities. And actually, I guess my whole sort of cricket career sort of spiraled from one game for Millfield against Surrey's Academy. Lo and behold, there was a certain Will Jackson, the opposition that day, and Ollie Poe, I think Jamie Smith as well. So name dropping all these Surrey boys, but that's sort of how it all started. I did well in that game, and then got offered to go on the Surrey Academy from there. Took that for a few years, didn't progress from the academy into the Surrey's county team, and then I sort of fell into the never-ending life of a twos trialist, which can be quite a barren wasteland at times, but I guess I was saying earlier, I was one of the lucky ones that have made it through that process.
What was so hard about being, trialling for second team?
Yeah, I mean, how long have you got?
Plenty of time.
It's very difficult because you go from team to team, you don't know necessarily anyone or everyone, and there's that feeling of not belonging to a certain team. You rock up and it's like, you might be playing for a county in Dorset kit or club kit or whatever it is, and you want to just try and get a foothold somewhere and play a sort of consecutive number of games and go from there. But I was saying earlier, there's so much talent, I think, in twos cricket, in minor counties cricket, that can just go amiss, and it's through no fault of anyone really. It's just the difficulty of professional sport. So yeah, it's a pretty tricky place to go to, and for people that are still doing it, like, hats off to them, because it is tricky to keep working hard, really.
So what was the point where you started looking at Scotland, and tell us a bit about your connections there?
It goes a long way back. So I had a bit of involvement with Hampshire in the pre-season camps. It sort of triggered from COVID, really. But the coach there, Adi Birrell, who was good mates with Shane Berger, obviously our ex-coach, both sort of South African and knew each other from out there. He was saying, he knew of our Scottish family links and stuff, obviously with Scott being on the staff there, and said, let me go in contact with Shane. And yeah, it sort of went from there, went up, saw Shane, trained a little bit with Scotland, played in the regional team. Obviously we've got Gilly out here at the moment, he was my nights coach for regional stuff. And yeah, it just sort of, I don't know, it's kind of like a pest, I guess. Like, I'm here again, guys, like, I really want to play, and there was a lot of journeys from Gatwick to Edinburgh, and probably should have got a season ticket for that place, but yeah, it was just basically just kept bashing down the door, and eventually it sort of worked, and here I am, I guess.
How did it feel when you finally got the call up after all those years of Gatwick to Edinburgh?
To be honest, it was probably wasn't the most straightforward again. Had a couple of tours where I was on the tour but never played, just running drinks on, which I'm still grateful for those opportunities, because I think it helped me learn what associate cricket is like and the cutthroat nature of it, and just to get to know the guys in the squad a little bit better as well. So, flying into my eye here.
I know, but the wind is coming up as well.
Yeah, cut back in. Yeah, no, the tours were quite nice, but it was a real honour to get on them. But you're not satisfied by just getting on a tour. You want to play, and so I had to sort of be patient there. And then obviously Doug gave me one opportunity last year in the qualifiers for this tournament. And yeah, that moment was a very proud moment. Obviously my family came. It was quite nice to play in Scotland, not halfway across the world. So yeah, my family was able to watch. Not one of my finer debuts against Germany. I've had some better debuts, but it was fine. We won. It was a nice, comfortable game. But they missed the Ireland game, which was obviously probably my standout game. But
you took a fifer in that game.
Yeah, it was
you?
a pretty special game. Sort of blokes like much better bowlers than me going around the park at 10s and over, and I was like, how have I just come away with that? So it was sort of a once in a lifetime performance. But you know, I was very happy that we were able to get the win and finish top of the tree. It was sort of a nice tick box moment for me.
And so, well, I mean, I'm talking a lot in this podcast about life on the road in this cricket circus. You've obviously done a lot because, well, it is quite a few clowns. You've got a couple in the squad.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah.
Who's the biggest clown?
It depends what night. I don't know what I'm thinking about. It's Chris Greaves. It is Chris Greaves. Yeah.
He's the biggest practical joker, isn't he? He's quite mischievous.
Yeah, him and Barrington. You'd think. Actually, Richie has this lovely persona on camera, I guess, but we'll go a bit behind the scenes here. Richie's a great character, and one that just oozes respect from the team. I think he's nailed captaincy sort of behaviours. He's very good.
What's he like as a bowling captain?
He's very nice, very chilled. I think there's very much like he wants me to lead my own fields, my own thoughts and stuff. But we've got a good core of fast bowlers here. Obviously with Safi, Solly, Wickets, there's a very much spearheaded experience there. So I'm quite nice to sort of cherry pick what moments I want to speak to who, and I'm just sort of trying to be like a bit of a sponge with those three around, really. Yeah,
and so with the world of travelling, I mean, what kind of a traveller are you? Do you like being on the road?
I think the thing that I say to my friends that I'm most grateful for cricket is the fact that I get to travel to places like Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua, Trinidad. Also never been to Dubai before in my life until cricket, and now I've been there like 3 times in the last year. I think I'll end up there another 10 times in my life. And then places like America, again, never been to America, went to Houston, went to Miami, just through cricket, and so I think it is the biggest perk of the job is you get to travel so much, really.
Does anything ever go wrong? Tell me about what happened with your shorts.
Well, we have laundry allowances here at the hotel, and the turnarounds, they're quite quick, so they literally get the laundry, they probably smash it into some massive washing machine, and it just gets put into tumble dry. It's probably the size of this room, and then it comes back like that big, and I'm like, brilliant. Gone from a medium to a small, or a large to a medium, but it's just the joys of travelling. So I've actually learned, here's my top tip for anyone who goes abroad, bring some washing pods, chuck them in a bath, fill them up, put them in a bath, and then if you've got weather like this, stick it out on the washing line. So that's currently how I'm washing my clothes here.
So there you go. Well, this is the sort of thing that I do. I mean, I've already had 5 million travel disasters since I got here. You made a face. It sounded like, it looked like you've got a few. What sort of stuff goes wrong?
Okay, I've had one story where last November I was going out to Dubai for a sort of training camp, and we had to sort our own flights. So because I've sorted my own flights, I did it really on the cheap. But I'm quite tired. It's a red flag of mine, but we'll let it slide. So I said, we got a travel agent at Sussex, and so he booked my flight for me, and I said, look mate, just get the cheapest one. He's like, right, to Dubai, you go via Qatar, and then on to Dubai. And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, that's fine. Qatar's basically next to Dubai, and it's like a half an hour flight. So tried to get to Qatar. The weather was too bad, so we couldn't land there. So the pilot's like, we have to go to Bahrain. So we diverted to Bahrain, stuck on the tarmac for 2 hours because of refuel, because we couldn't just keep never-ending flying. So yeah, stuck in Bahrain for a couple of hours, then get back to Qatar eventually, missed my transfer flight, 4 hours in a queue that honestly I would never ever wish on my worst enemy. It was horrific. Met some good friends in the queue because you had no choice. Yeah, exactly. You had no choice but to spend time and chat to these people because we were just like this with our suitcases in a massive line. So eventually made a transferred flight, which was about 10 hours later. So got to know Qatar International Airport quite well for about 10 hours and actually met someone there and had breakfast with them. So yeah, it was quite an event really, but yeah, that's probably my biggest disaster so far. It's probably others, but yeah, we'll keep that as a nice story for everyone. It's not all plain sailing. Really.
I've shown up on the wrong day for a flight with expired passports. I can definitely make you feel better when you find out about some of mine. And tell me about fantasy football, Premier League fantasy football, because a little bird tells me, I don't know if obsession is the right word, that maybe it's an illness.
Yeah, it's bordering on that. Yeah, it's not a bad. No, it's good. It's all good. It's all healthy.
Yeah, come on, tell me.
So we're talking a few years ago here. I started an account on what was then Twitter, now X. Just a bit of like a joke, but I actually wanted to stay anonymous on it because everyone makes accounts through like characters or like just fake names and stuff. And so I made mine through my favourite TV series, Prison Break. Kept it anonymous for like a few years, and then I started playing professional cricket, and I was like, I retweet that, and then people were going, and some people were connecting dots, going, do you play cricket? And I was like, maybe, maybe. And then eventually I lost the gimmick of like hiding behind not a fake account, but like being anonymous and stuff, and it was probably from my own fault, just tweeting everything from either Cricket Scotland or Sussex, and then sort of like the catch and stuff happened, but managed to stay pretty anonymous to like the cricket world for quite a while, but the fantasy football community sort of cottoned on pretty quick, and so got a really nice like set of mates that I now class them as good friends. They'll message me now and say like, oh, good luck with the World Cup, and I'm like, never met before, but we've always interacted with fantasy football, and so now I feel like I've half the fantasy football world are all Cricket Scotland fans now, so shout out to all those guys. But it's such a nice like community, and obviously social media can be quite a tricky place at times, but like, touch wood, I've never had anything like that from anyone. It's always very positive, and I think hopefully that sort of rings through from my tweets, my personality that comes through that, and so everything's so positive. So it's been an amazing. That's such a bonus to playing fantasy football. Obviously, the banter that flies between mates is another bonus.
When did they find out? Was it after the catch?
No, it was way before. Because there was when the catch happened, and literally like everyone's like, what is going on? Like Brad's done something pretty like stupid on Sky Sports, and everyone was sort of losing their mind, going like, this guy plays cricket for Scotland and Sussex, but he's also like one of us nerds that are playing fantasy football, and I just think it's so funny. There was still people in the comments connecting the dots, like a couple of people didn't know the account that well, and so yeah, it's honestly crazy. It's a pretty cool story. I like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you're a nerd.
Yeah.
You're tight with your money.
Yeah.
You have travel disasters. Your clothes aren't going to fit you, but you're going to have a fantastic World Cup.
Yeah.
I honestly can't wait to see you out there. I'm going to catch up with you sometime at the end and just see how you're doing. See if you manage to get your shorts to stretch again.
I'll be asking Kenny for some new ones, please.
Thanks for being my first guest.
No, it's all right. You can have George on now. Hopefully, not too much of a downfall.
Wow, you're sledging George Munsey, yeah. Oh, God,
he's not happy off camera. He's going to slay me.
He's giving me the look of death.
We said 20 minutes and it's 19 on camera. He's ready. Shall we go?
Yeah. Thank you.
Any jump, Muns?
Well, as you might be able to tell from that interview, that was one of the times I had issues. Some mics that failed to work, and it took a Googling session where I found a Reddit thread about why they weren't working. Apparently a very, very unusual problem that involved a factory reset in particular order. Anyway, I've managed to solve that, so that's good, but you can imagine that kind of thing does cause some stress. But on to some of your questions. I asked on Twitter and Instagram for some of those, and I was actually overwhelmed by how many of you sent in some great questions. I can't do all of them in this episode, but I'll do some of them, answer some of them. At some point, I may do a video that is just your questions and answers about life on the road and what I do, because I really was amazed by the level of interest in it. But I'll do a couple of them now. So make sure you hit me up on Instagram and on Twitter. Amy Kulkarni, so from Instagram, said, "Hey Melinda, hope you are well." I'm doing better. Just wanted to know, how exactly do you get opportunities as a freelancer? Do you reach out to organizations, or is it the other way around? Also, how do you manage to provide content for different organizations at the same time? First question first. Yes, it depends on the particular gig. Sometimes organizations will reach out to me and I might get booked for something. At other times, I will reach out to various organizations, especially before doing something like this. And it's a really tricky balancing act, because if you ask too many organizations at once and you get a bunch of them coming in and you realize you actually are not going to be able to do a good job for all of them, you then have to turn around and say no, and that would really annoy the organization. So I try and stagger it and see if I can build organizations that I can work for. I find it also better to try and get a range of mediums and different jobs. So I can't write. Writing for more, 2 is the maximum I will write for. Some other people can do more. That is absolute maximum. It's just too stressful, and they don't like it, to be honest, as well. So you might try and do a mix of radio, video, broadcast, and writing. And the more you do, then the more obviously money that you will make, but also the more you put yourself under a massive amount of pressure. And I'm really wary and conscious of wanting to do a really good job, not just do as much as I can humanly do, because that can just lead to you letting everyone down. So it's a real balancing act there. Your second part of your question, how do you manage to provide content for different organizations at the same time? I have a color-coded spreadsheet, sort of diary, and a notebook, and I'm constantly writing lists all the time of all the things I need to do, because within a day, you might have to deliver a whole heap of things, but then you have to keep an eye on the next day and the day after that, and maybe even like the next week and the week after that, because you can't just go, hey, I'm going to do this interview piece. You actually have to set things up and manage to try and fit it into a schedule. So it's basically spinning plates and juggling while standing on one leg and trying to keep up a hula hoop at the same time. It's not easy. It's not as easy as it looks. People don't realize too, sometimes when you get in front of the camera and do a post-match thing, you have had a million things going on. Your mind is being pulled in so many different directions. Sometimes you might find yourself asking a daft question or having a brain fade, and that's just because you are under so much pressure. So yeah, you just have to try and smile, take a deep breath, and focus on one thing at a time. That's the only way I can handle it, but it's a really excellent question. So the next question was asked by a few people. Hamad A. Mateen on Instagram asked, what's the most difficult part of freelancing? Armchair Critic on Twitter, he used to sending a lot of questions for polite inquiries, asked what's easy and difficult with freelancing. I actually don't think there's anything easy. It's just hard. It's a lot harder than probably people think. The difficult thing is that you have to organize everything. So if you are covering a tour, a tournament, a bilateral, anything that involves travel, you're responsible for your visa, your accreditation. You have to get the commissioning letter from someone before you can even apply. You have to work out what the best route is, and will that get you enough work around a tournament like this? And also, when anything goes wrong, You don't actually have the backing of an organisation. If a flight gets cancelled, if your accommodation falls through, all of those things you have to work out. It also means, and this is why I have the jar of peanut butter, you're responsible for your own expenses. So you can't claim anything, and that makes it a challenge as well. So you're not just focusing on the job at hand, you're actually focusing on all the other stuff as well, all the organisation. And I find that can take you away from just watching the cricket, remembering, you know, your job is to watch the cricket, it's to watch training, it's to talk to people, it's to go to games, go to press conferences, all of those things. And you can actually get caught up in just working stuff out. I've had a flight cancelled from St. Lucia to Antigua, and I don't know how I'm going to fix that at the moment, but I might have to swim or get a kayak. I don't know. But I can't think too much about that at the moment because I've actually got too much that I have to do today and tomorrow. So that's probably the hardest thing about freelancing. So Damik Sankavara, he asks, how different is being a broadcaster compared to other media commitments now that you have done the both? You know, it probably relates to the previous one in that when you're a broadcaster, particularly the times when I've worked for television, for sort of more major television productions, so much is done for you. It's like a dream. Someone looks after your accreditation. They send you your flight details. You just have to show up. There's a car waiting for you at the airport. It drops you off. Even getting to and from the ground, they tell you what time to rock up at the door, and then they take care of that as well. You have people providing stats for you, all sorts of information. If there's any hassle, you just have to tell someone and they will sort it out for you. So what that means is that you can actually just focus on research and looking and watching and observing, going that extra mile to make sure that you can find out the good stories. That's probably the thing I've noticed that's the most difference. And I can tell you, they also put you in really lovely hotels, because I've stayed in some pretty crappy ones as I try to save money going around. And I never take that for granted. Staying in a nice hotel where you might even have some time off and be able to get a massage, woohoo! Or just sit down and watch TV if you feel like watching Netflix and a movie. All of those things. I don't take any of that for granted. So that's probably the biggest difference I noticed between them. And Corey Bassetti asks, hi Melinda, do you like being on the road this much? A lot of the times, yes, it's my happy place. I sometimes get a bit antsy when I'm stuck in one place for too long. That's just me. But this is just the first week of a 4-week tournament. Marathon, not a sprint. At the moment, if you'd asked me yesterday, I'd have said, I'm not liking it so much. Today, I'm back there. I'm back, baby. I'm back. Ask me at the end of this month, 4 weeks in, and who knows what answer I'll give you. But please do give me a subscribe, a follow, a comment, a like, whatever it is. I can't tell you how much it means to me when you do that. Hit me up with questions. I will answer as many as I can. And we'll see who I come up with next week when it comes to an interview, or next time when it comes to an interview. But until then, this is Running Between the Wickets. I'm a bit puffed already, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. I'll see you soon.